welcome. Welcome. While we wait for everyone to join us, do y'all want to let us know in the chat where you're calling in from? It's always fun to see how much of a worldly audience we get during these sessions. Denver, Colorado. Y'all just got a lot of snow, right? That big storm hit you. Scottsdale, Philadelphia, New York. Cool. Northern Vermont. Awesome. Boston, LA. Sweet. Rwanda. It's late for you. Perfect. All right, I'm clicking this admit all button. All right, I'm going to give it 30 more seconds, and then we're going to go ahead and introduce Claudia and the event for today that we're all so excited for. But yeah, I want to make sure we have everyone in here before I go do that. You just joined. We're letting everyone know in the chat where we're calling in from. London. Awesome. That's where you are, Leonie. Perfect. Alrighty, we can go ahead and kick things off. Welcome everyone to, I think this is our 8th, Leonie, maybe since Climate People has joined, maybe 6th, Climate Career Advancement Meetup. Essentially, we host these meetups, MCJ and Climate People, every month for climate job seekers who are looking to get their foot in the door in the climate space. We bring in guest speakers, we host workshops, kind of a whole lot of everything just to arm all of you with the best practices and tactics for getting a job in climate. Today, we're super excited to have Claudia with us. Claudia is a positive psychologist who is here to talk about how you can implement some of that optimism in the glass half full approach to your climate job search. She is an expert in all things of this space, and I know she's gonna give all of you so much incredible advice to help you kickstart your job search. Claudia, I'll let you give a little bit more information on yourself just because you can do it better than I can, but just wanted to say thank you so much for being here with us today and teaching us all of your incredible information that you're going to share. I'll let you take it from here.
Thanks, and thanks for having me. Welcome, everyone. I'm wondering if anybody else is here based in Ireland. I'm based in Ireland. I'm originally from Germany. So I'm dialing in from Ireland. That's why it's already a bit darker in my room. It's 5 o'clock in the evening. You are my first big group of people I have the pleasure to work with this year, and also the last call of the day. I guess for some of you, this might be the first call of the day. So good morning, good afternoon. I'm really happy to be here. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Claudia. I wear a few different hats. My biggest head is the head of a positive psychologist. A positive psychologist looks at the science of human thriving, and we are interested in all these things that make us feel and be at our best, either in work, in life, and in our communities. And I apply that knowledge predominantly through coaching. I'm a climate career coach. I help people like you find their way into the climate space, and also as a facilitator for spaces like here today, but I also work with teams and organizations who want to bring positive psychology into the workplace. My work predominantly centers around teaching people like you really effective toolkits around building emotional resilience, learning how to tap into your strengths, which is what we're doing today, and also help you sustain active hope in these difficult times. Working in climate can be a very emotional roller coaster. So knowing how to tap into the good emotions is very important skill. I invite you to bring 3 commitments to this space. We have like at the moment 86 people, and I see still people more joining. So we have lots of people with different backgrounds on the call. So let's make this a safe space for everyone. I invite you to listen, to learn. We try not to judge what other people are saying. We try to be welcoming of each other and everyone's path in life. Number 2, my personal favorite, I invite you to all bring curiosity. This is one of our secret superpowers when we want to adopt positive change, is being curious. So be curious. I hope you will learn something new today about yourself, and also something that you can take with you into your work life and also in your private life. And also enjoy. As a positive psychologist, I'm a bit biased. towards optimism and hope. And I really want you to also enjoy this space. There will be 2 breakouts, and even for the people who are introvert on this call, I designed these breakouts that they are great for everyone. So please don't shy away from them, embrace them. And I'm hoping that you will find some enjoyment in these breakouts as well. For today, I have created an agenda around you and what your challenges are. I'm going to tap into this a little bit. I'm really curious about your thoughts on challenges for job seekers in the climate space as well. We will have more like a knowledge share piece where I tell you a little bit more about what are strengths, how can you identify yours, and then we will also practice this in the breakouts. At the end of the session, I also have a little reflective exercise that you can do in your own time, how you want to bring what you learned today into action. And I also wanted to share with the chat a little handout that you can use during the session if you want to, for those of you who like to take notes. Okay, but it's not a requirement. Okay, let's get started. What are the challenges for you guys, for people who want to transition into the climate space? Through my academic journey, I've come to appreciate data. So here are some interesting stats from a report I conducted last year. It's the Climate Career Movement Report, and I looked at the main challenges of climate career job seekers and collected data from 74 aspiring change makers from across the world. For anyone who is also a data nerd and wants to have the full report, I'm going to post the link in the chat as well, where you can download it. Here's what I found. The most prominent challenge for people who want to transition into the space is expertise. And it's a common misconception that you need some form of climate-specific expertise to pivot into impact work. I know this well. I also thought that climate work is for the experts, like scientists, policymakers, politicians, and some other mysterious specialists. And generally, I thought this is a job for people in power. Turns out this is not the case. I encourage everyone, we need your expertise, no matter what you bring already, no matter what you want to do with the rest of your life. We need everybody to turn this around. And I hope that today, the piece around strengths can help you to overcome this belief that you need some specific expertise. I believe you have everything you need already. The second biggest challenge is clarity. The space is really big. It's moving very fast. It's very hard when you're new to this to understand what role you can play and where you can attach yourself. And 35% of aspiring change makers don't really know their climate career sweet spot. What is your climate career sweet spot? It's that intersection between what you already do really, really well. So think about all the skills you bring. It's also what brings you joy, which is what we are tapping into today in terms of understanding your strengths. And it's also what actually needs doing in the world. What do we need to do as humanity to turn this around? So knowing this can really help nail your job search and really narrow down what you're looking for. And last but not least, it's actually a very big one, is confidence. 1 in 3 change makers lack the confidence to make the pivot. And I would be really curious if anybody is brave enough. Who of you think that you could use a little bit more confidence in this journey? You can raise your hands. I want us all to normalize feeling unsure when we consider a career change. Changing careers is a prime time for that imposter voice in our heads telling us we're not good enough, we don't have the skills, we don't have the expertise, no one will hire me. It's all very, very normal. And in fact, if you wouldn't feel that, I would be a bit worried. You know from research that over 80% of knowledge workers, that are the people who work with predominantly their laptops, so people like you, 80% of knowledge workers are struggling with imposter feelings. I come to believe that this is a symptom of our time. The world is moving too fast in some areas and yet too slow when it comes to tackling climate change. Nobody is an expert anymore. Everything is changing all the time. So let's normalize feeling a bit unsure and having moments of doubt and low self-confidence. It's something you can work on, and with the help of your strengths, you can overcome this. And this is one of my favorite quotes: knowing your strengths is like having an inner compass that confidently shows you the way. So I'm hoping to teach you something today that can help you with all of these challenges in your job search and beyond. So let's look at the more scientific parts of what are strengths. Strengths were discovered in the early days of the positive psychology movement in the early 2000s. And positive psychology, as I said earlier, is the science concerned about human flourishing. That means we are constantly looking for things that make us thrive, that help us to be at our best, that bring us joy, happiness, compassion, and confidence. I believe that also makes it the #1 behavioral tool that can help us come together in community to create positive action. And when you look at character strengths, here's a great quote from one of the leading researchers in the field, Dr. Ryan Nemich. Character strengths are positive personality traits, but they go beyond the traditional concept of personality traits. They also reflect our basic identity, and they also produce very positive outcomes when we apply our strengths, not just for ourselves, but also for others. And with that, they contribute to the collective good. So I feel they are really, really well positioned to help us come together across cultures, across continents, and find solutions to the biggest problems of our time. So strengths are overall not just about being, they're also about doing and how you're acting in the world. And therefore, they're much more useful in terms of using them as a toolkit. So strengths can be developed and improved over time. You can flexibly use them in your work, in your life, in your relationships, but also for yourself. And the one caveat with this is that they can also be overused and underused. I give you an example. People who come to me who are frustrated in their careers and they lack meaning in their careers, they often don't find ways to bring their top strengths into work. That leaves us like we cannot be our authentic self, and it leaves us lacking fulfillment and meaning. Research has identified 24 strengths. Everybody around the world has these 24 strengths, so it doesn't matter what cultural background you come from, what age you are, or what gender you have. You have 24 strengths, all of them matter, and you can use all of them, and you will get to know them today a little bit more. Before we go to the practical part, I want to tell you a little bit more about the research evidence, why it's such an amazing tool to use in your job search and beyond. And I've picked 3 areas of the research that I felt were hopefully most relevant to where you are in this journey. First of all, I understand most of you are actively looking for a job in the climate space. So using your strengths in your job search and also in your interviews is a really great way to build this authentic career narrative, that you can extract positive stories that you are confident to tell stories about in your interviews. And as I said before, it's also a great way to identify your climate career sweet spot, knowing what brings you joy, what engages you in your work day to day, and what keeps you motivated is a very essential part of finding the right job for you. When we think about strengths and work in general, we know from research that people who find ways to apply especially their top 5 strengths report much more joy at work, they are much more engaged, they report higher job satisfaction, and this is when people start saying things like, I have a really meaningful job, I think I found my purpose or my calling even. So in short, when you find ways to bring your strengths into work, and you can even do that in the work you are today, you will have more moments where you feel that you are operating at your best. And then strengths and confidence. I tapped into this a little bit already. Confidence is a very important skill in any career transition, and especially when you move into a field where you might not feel like an expert in. If you use your, especially your signature strengths, which are your top 5 strengths, it automatically builds self-belief in your skills, but also in who you are as a person. It helps you to build a growth mindset so that when setbacks occur, you are not feeling like a failure. You're more treating this like a learning journey, and it helps you with, quieten this imposter voice that most of us will be very familiar with. Okay, I'm taking a breath now. I've went through most of the content that I wanted to share. I hope you have a better idea of why I'm excited about it. And I also want to give you a chance to practice this. So even though you have not heard about strengths and don't know which ones are yours before you entered this session, don't worry. The first task for you now is I will guide you to identify your top 5 strengths. And for that, I'm sharing another link in the chat. And when you open this, you should come to a website from the VIA Institute. These are the guys, the Research Institute, who developed this concept originally. And you see 24 of these tiles we've taken a screenshot from. So your task now is, if you have pen and paper, jot it down, otherwise type it somewhere where you can remember it, to just read through these tiles. You don't have to click on them, just read through them and write down 3 to 5 strengths where you feel immediately like, oh yeah, that's me. I can identify with that. That's all you have to do. Read through the labels and pick the 3 to 5 strengths where you feel like they resonate with you and they describe you very well. And when you have that completed, give me a thumbs up and we wait until everybody has identified some strengths. So there's no right or wrong here for anybody who might be overwhelmed. Just pick 3 to 5 strengths that intuitively feel like, yeah, they are part of me. And when you have some of them, just give me a thumbs up. And when we have a good few thumbs up, we will continue. All right. Excellent. I hope you all have 3 to 5. In the workbook that I sent you in the handout, there is also the link where you can do the survey after the session. If you're interested to learn more, the survey takes about 15 minutes and it gives you your personal ranking of these strengths. For now, it's fine to just pick 3 to 5 that really speak to you in the moment, and we use them for the little exercises that I've picked for today. And the first one is called strength spotting. And strength spotting is about listening to others and identifying what strengths they are using. It's a really great way to practice this language. I'm expecting that for most of you on this meeting, this is completely new. So it's a great way to practice this language and also to connect with people in a really fun way without worrying how to do this socially. So here is the exercise. I invite you to take a screenshot of this while I explain this before we send you into breakout rooms. So we decided to send you into breakout rooms with 3 people. So you have 10 minutes. So there is deliberately a little bit of time pressure. So make a quick introduction. You don't have to tell each other too much, just your name, maybe where you're based. And then each of you takes turns and briefly share with the others, what are your hopes for working in climate? And even if you don't really have a fully fleshed out career vision yet, just share with your small group of what are your ideas, what hopes do you have, what would you like to address, change, or positively influence. Again, there's no right or wrong here. It's just about having a bit of a chat about what are your initial ideas and what are you hoping to do. The real job is actually for the listeners. So if you find yourself in the listening position, take note of all the strengths you hear the other person is expressing. You can use the link I sent you before with the 24 tiles and just spot all the strengths the person is using. And then when they're finished with their little story, play that back to them. Play back to them and say, oh my God, I heard hope in your story, hope for a better future. Or I hear perseverance. You've already sent out 20 CVs and you're still going. So whatever you hear, play it back to them. So everybody gets a chance to tell their story and also hear some strengths played back. So it's a really easy, casual exercise, and I hope you enjoy it. So I give you 10 minutes for that. Any questions before we send you off? Okay, hello, welcome back. As usual, I bet half of you are thinking, oh, that wasn't enough time. That's fine, you'll get another breakout room. I'm really, really curious. Maybe we have a few volunteers to hear how did it feel when strangers played back some of your strengths to you? Do we have some volunteers who want to share how it was like? Yeah, please go ahead, Adina.
Hi, Adina. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm not a Southerner though. Anyways, hi. I thought it was cool. So I joined late and I was part of such a welcoming group. They were able to catch me up to speed and really appreciate it. And it felt really cool. I had never heard of this this site, the VIA, I'm probably saying around, sorry, character. And I'm really looking forward to reading more into it. I think it was really helpful. And it felt nice to hear, you know, strangers giving me some feedback. It's definitely things that I already thought. Like one of them I remember was curiosity, and it felt like kind of reassuring, and it felt good. It was positive all around.
Excellent. Any other volunteer who would like to share? How was it like?
Let's see something. I will share something if I can find the raising of the hand.
Oh, we can hear you, Luis. It's fine.
Okay. I just wanted to say the three people, including myself in the group, seem to interact really well, you know, and very quickly, helpful. And I thought also perceptive, in a few things that maybe when I made my presentation, I didn't think about. So that was really nice.
Yeah. That's thank you for sharing. This is why I love this exercise. It brings people together in a very unique way, and it feels very warm, and you feel seen when people play back your strengths. So if you like this exercise, I can recommend to take it into any team building activity. You don't need to be a positive psychologist to spot strengths. Anybody can do that. So feel free to take it and let it travel. It's a really good exercise. Let us move on. Let me share my screen again. So the other thing that I thought would be beneficial for you is to learn a bit more about how you can use your strengths to find different pathways. And the reason why I thought this would be a good idea is that I know it can be challenging in that job search and applying and being persistent and believing in yourself, and also finding your place in climate can be daunting and challenging. I heard in some of the breakout rooms, some people already have some experience in the field, others are completely new. So I'm sure each of you has very unique challenges, and you can use your strengths to find new ways to deal with your challenge. And again, I invite you to take a screenshot of this and take that with you into your breakout rooms. The idea is now that you share a challenge that you're facing in your journey into climate, and that can be anything really. That can be around identifying what role you want to play. It can be around creating that career narrative that you are presenting when you're interviewing. It can be about your job search or the interview storytelling or whatever comes up for you. And then share that with your group. And together as a group, I invite you to, again, look at the 24 strengths and maybe advise the person who is sharing their challenge of what strengths would you use to overcome this. So I give you an example. If people feel sometimes maybe low in confidence because they're not sure how to present themselves in interviews, you can pick a different strengths. Any strengths will do, but it can, for example, be bravery, to be a bit more brave and a bit more outgoing in these interview situations. It can also be the strengths of perspective and really going through your experience to date and finding different angles of what you want to position and highlighting in these interviews. So there is a really ample opportunity to throw something out. And there, again, is no right or wrong answer to this. So I encourage you to also assign a timekeeper in your group to make sure that everybody gets a chance to share their challenge and get a bit of strengths-based advice from the others. We do 15 minutes now, if that's okay. So you have a bit more time. And if the timekeeper can look at 5 minutes per person, that would be great. Any questions before we send you off again? Oh, and by the way, we're mixing the groups up a little bit so that you get a chance to network with other people in this round. Any questions before we do this? Okay, I think we're good. So
Vanessa,
let's do
we
it.
have a question really quickly. Oh, sorry.
Vanessa
Yes.
has a question. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Yes.
So, well, two questions. Our group, actually, one person didn't even get a chance to talk, which was really a bummer. So thank you for giving us the time format. But my question is about, like, are we supposed to say, well, these are the strengths that we already have, and then they're supposed to help us use the strengths that have been identified? Or
No,
is
you
this
just
a
share,
free
you
form?
just share your challenge. Like my challenge is XYZ. And then the others are supposed to give you advice of what strengths they would use to overcome this challenge, so that you get a few different perspectives. So again, for you sharing your story, that's the easy part. The harder part is for the other people.
Yeah, no, I understand that it's the strengths part. Like, if I've already identified that there are 5 that I have, are they,
Yeah.
is their job to say, well, of those 5, I think this one would be helpful?
You can take it this way as well, but I personally would invite the other people to give me advice, because they tend to give you perspectives that you haven't considered yourself. So it can really open up your pathways in your thinking. So I would encourage the other people to share what their immediate thoughts are. But yeah, great question.
Thank you.
Any other questions before we start? All right, let's hop. Welcome back. I hope that was more time. I don't know if it was sufficient time, but if you met beautiful people in your group, feel free to share the love in the chat and maybe say thank you to the people you've met. I'm again very curious. I hopped into some breakout rooms, but I'm really curious if we have volunteers who want to share something that they feel meaningful for the rest of the group. I would love to hear. The groups that I briefly visited, some of them were talking about overwhelm and fears and worries. So I'm always amazed how quickly people open up once we bring the strengths into our conversation. So thank you for bringing all of you into these spaces. Who wants to share how it was in their breakout room? Gunther.
I just wanted to real quick kind of end on it. One of the things that we're just about to say is, like, giving oneself the space to just interact and talk with people and network and have conversations without necessarily a whole agenda is a great way to learn on things. Sometimes when you're looking for jobs, it's got to be like, oh, it's got to lead to X, right? The job description application versus just networking with people and seeing what opportunities may arrive, particularly for those where it's going to be mushy and fuzzy, and maybe you're starting with startups where they don't know what the role is or anything like that. So just being able to have the space and giving that to yourself to be able to have conversations like that, I found to be very valuable. I learned tons, and I've met tons of other people. We'll see where it goes. So that was my quick thing that I just wanted to say to the group I was with. Thank you guys for chatting, by the way, and to the whole team. So thanks.
I love it. And I see people sharing their LinkedIn profiles. Feel free to connect with me as well if you want. Connect with each other. This is what it's all about. Anybody else who wants to share about what they've learned in their breakouts, how they found it? John.
Okay. Hi. As far as it goes, I thought my room was really good too, and like it kind of turned me on to some things that I hadn't thought about, over the course of like the many months I've been looking for a job. For me, like I think sort of like a big concern has sort of been like crafting my narrative, and because there seems to be like a bit of a disconnect there. And sort of like the difficulty of trying to make things both concise for your resume but also like impactful. What was suggested to me that that I hadn't thought of before is that I should focus both on like the type of role which I have been doing, but also focus on like specific industries as well, not just that type of role. Because like that's something that kind of also sort of plays to your strengths as well, because like every industry, every type of company, they have certain things that they're going to the value more just because of the nature of what they do. So that's, that was something that was like really, really insightful for me. And I think it's gonna be helpful for me as far as paring down and searching for like the right type of opportunity for me.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. It sounds like you had a really supportive group, and from what I'm reading in the chat, others had too. So I really love that. So the one thing I want to put out there before we close for today is that you've all learned something new today. You have also met new people, but you have learned a new language of talking about things, your strengths. And the best way to apply this learning is to put it into practice every single day. And here is some ideas how you can do that. Again, I invite you to take a screenshot. It's a very brief instruction how to build a strengths-based plan. So you can set a goal for I'm suggesting the next 4 weeks, but you can do this on a weekly basis as well. Set a goal, what you want to achieve in terms of your job search in the next few weeks. And then think about which of your strengths do you need to call upon to make this happen. They can really become your motivator and helping you achieve your goals. So it's a really great tool to make goals more achievable and to keep you on track. And then I encourage you to also design concrete steps. What will you be doing? These bigger goals always need the smaller steps. And one thing I'm very passionate about is to remind myself and everybody else to celebrate the small steps. Like not just celebrate when you have landed that job, but celebrate every week the goals that you've set for yourself, because this can be a bit of a journey. And if you celebrate the small steps, you're giving yourself the best chance to keep your momentum. That was all from myself. I do want to mention one thing. If you loved the workshop today, I think you might like my 6 weeks community-based learning experience. This is a group coaching space I've designed for people like you who want to break into climate. You can scan the barcode to find out more details. The next cohort is starting end of January. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ping me on LinkedIn or write me an email. More than happy to chat about it. And thanks for playing along today. It was a pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Claudia. That last little tidbit you were talking about, focusing on the milestones rather than just the end destination, I think is incredibly important, and it's so helpful for people on this journey. So really appreciate that. I really appreciate all that you shared with us today. We're so grateful for you. And yeah, we can't thank you enough for coming in and sharing this last hour with us. And thank you to all of you who joined. We hope that you took something tangible away from this. One quick note, next month's session is going to be a resume and cover letter workshop with Kat Jellicour. She is a recruiter and a career coach as well. So make sure you tune in next month if you want some help applying these strengths to your resume. So thank you again, everybody, and we will see you all next week. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.